In this Subnautica Beginner's Guide, I'm going to help you get up and running with the start of the game because it's a little overwhelming when you don't know what to do initially. So this video will just give you an idea of how to get started, how to get food, water, and what you really need to do and what you need to look at in the game to get running. So I'm doing this in 2025. Subnautica is an old game, but I made a new channel for Subnautica because Subnautica 2 is in progress, and I thought it'd be cool to revisit the first game and put it on a dedicated channel. Let's go though. Let's talk about the beginner's guide. So when you start out in Subnautica, press the little button there and you've got play options, etc. If we just go for play here though, you can start a new game. You can see I've got a few different game files here, and yes, I've played it quite a lot over the years, but we'll go with start new game. And you've got different versions that you can go for: survival, freedom, hardcore, creative. I suggest you go on survival because although you can die, this is the most realistic one. You've got to look for food, water, got to sort out your health regularly, and it's a lot of fun. So this is the one I would suggest you go with. Later on, if you want to do a bit of replay value, you can do creative and build bases and stuff like that, but that's later in the game, and we're not really going to cover much of that in the beginner guide. I just want to explain, and then if you want to know more about specifics, you can have a little look at my other videos that I'll put on this dedicated channel. So we'll hit survival, and you get the start of the game here, which you may have already seen, but I will play it because it's so darn cool. I think it's one of the coolest starts to a game, and obviously at the start of the game it's no big surprise, but I love how it sets the storyline. So as we go in here, it's brilliant.
Launch in 3, 2, 1.
So we've escaped from that ship there, which isn't immediately clear from the start of the game. You heard we jumped into something. We appeared to have jumped into some sort of pod, and that's the start of the game. But things have gone a bit awry, as you can see here. And this happens. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ow. And I am going to put a walkthrough in the, or rather on the channel as well. So if you want to see that, if you get stuck on a bit and you want a more detailed walkthrough, you can have a little look at those episodes, assuming people like that. So we'll be doing that as well in a similar style. But when you start the game, everything is on fire, and you may be thinking, what do I do? You've got to look down here, pick up the fire extinguisher. That goes in your settings, and you may need to hit pause and have a little look at the controls, but on the Xbox it's RT to fire that out, so I think it will hint it on the screen. And then you're in this area here, and one of the things that confused me initially was you can quickly dump off of things like this here and then lose what you're looking at. So part of the beginner's guide is to say take your time. This is a complicated game, but it is so rewarding when you know what's going on. So it tells you about what's going on in the world, and tells you about this PDA that you've got here, and you want to be thinking about this. That's important.
Good luck.
So it then, rather unhelpfully, says open or close the PDA with that button. So I'll do that. And then what can happen is you just start wandering around and you miss that first bit, which is a bit of a killer. So use the right button to get rid of the fire extinguisher. So that was right on my D-pad. And you can see we are in this escape pod that is not looking too happy. But if you miss that first thing, you'll be really stuck what to do. So you want to be hitting that PDA button again. So for me, that was the screens button. And then that tells, or rather brings you into your PDA where you can see what your inventory is, what you've got equipped, and then using RB and LB on the top bar, you can see things like your blueprints, you've got beacon manager, photo manager, log, and this area here, which is the thing that's easy to miss as a beginner. And this is critical for helping you understand how to play the game. So you go into the survival package. I'm hitting A to open that. And it says start here, and that's the bit that you need to look at. So it says if you're reading this, then you have survived an emergency evacuation of a capital class ship equipped with Altera technology. Congratulations, the hard part is over. Your PDA is automatically rebooted in emergency mode. This operating system has one directive: to keep you alive on a hostile alien world. And if that is not possible, it will alert salvage teams to the location of your remains. It features full monitoring of vital signs for timely survival advice, blueprints, this is important, for fabricating a range of essential survival equipment tailored to your environment, onboard camera, microphone and OCR technology for short-range situational analysis, cross-compatibility with all Altera-compliant products, NB your personnel and work files have been encrypted and may be retrieved at a later date by a licensed engineer. So that's useful. Then look at this one, the survival checklist, and this tells you how to get started, which is critical for the beginner guide. So it says administer first aid if required. Now down below me there, you see the 71, that's your health. So that's all right at the minute, but we could have a bit of first aid if we want to get that bump back up to top. Take inventory of available materials and supplies and decide on rations. We're going to look at that in a minute. Survey the environment for threats and resources. Construct necessary survival equipment using the life pod's fabricator, and that's critical. Check the life pod for damage and repair as necessary. Broadcast a local distress signal using the life pod's short-range radio. Locate other survivors along using line of sight or the radio. Find or construct a more permanent habitat. Maintain physical and psychological health until rescue. So we've got all of that. And then this is important. The blueprint database corrupted. Damage to PDA's hard drive has corrupted approximately 80% of stored survival blueprints. Blueprints may be reacquired by scanning a salvage technology using the handheld scanner or by downloading plans from a shipboard data box. In the circumstances, these assets will most likely be found amongst the wreckage from the Aurora. So you know a little bit, and then you may be going, what the heck is the Aurora? So if you have a little look here, Aurora ship status, that was the ship that we saw from the top of our escape pod, and it tells you a little bit about it. It sustained heavy damage, cause unknown, evacuation data unavailable, a bit more waffle about it. We learned about our all-environment protection suit that we've got to keep us safe, the life pod that we're in and what it's got in it. So we see all of that stuff there. You can see we've got some provisions there, flares, medkit, water provision. And then you've got blueprints. And these are the things it was saying you have, but some are damaged. So we can see some information here about stuff we can make with the fabricator. So that hopefully all makes sense. As the story unfolds, the log will store the notes and stuff that you hear here. You can take photos if you wish as you play the game. So you press the right stick button to take a screenshot and they'll show there. The beacon manager will show points of interest. So the life pod's the only one we've discovered at the minute, but you'll see these floating up on the screen, which I'll show in just a moment. And then the basic materials, so you can see how you get these things. So titanium, we need to look for metal salvage. If we wanted silicon rubber, we need to find a creep vine seed cluster. And then our inventory and equipment, as we saw before, all we've got at the minute is the fire extinguisher. Now down below me, as well as the health in the orange, we have food or how hungry we are. So 49 means we are a little bit hungry. And then 88, which is water, so how thirsty we are. And the O2 is how much air we've got, which will make sense in just a second. So we're in the area here. And if we look around here, we're in a very small life pod. And this one here is how you deal with your health. So the fabricator with medical kits, this will make a first aid kit every little while. So you'll see it start charging for the next one. I think it's every half an hour or something like that. So we hit the PDA, we can use that first aid kit and see down below me there, health is now at 100. So that's cool. This, you got some storage, and in here you'll find a bit of food and a bit of water, which we can also make, but if you're in trouble you can go and use these. These don't expire, so I suggest you leave these unless you really need them, and I will show you how to get food and water in just a sec. Flares you can use as a light source, but we don't really need those at the minute. This you can see is damaged. This is user repair tool, so we need to fix that. We can also see that's the seats that we sat down in. We've got the damaged radio where we've also got to repair that. And then we've got the most critical thing in here, which does kind of work, which is the fabricator. And if we look at this, this is how we can use resources like these, titanium. So we can make titanium from stuff. We can make electronics. We can make food and water, personnel stuff. So we can make tools. So if we could find a battery or make a battery and find titanium, we could make a scanner, which was one of the things we needed. We can make weapons and all sorts of stuff like this. And I'm going to walk through a little bit of this for you so you understand. So we've got all of that. You can go out of the escape pod two ways, either through there, which will take you down into the area, or up. And to begin with, I suggest you go up so you can see really how much trouble you're in and why this game is so cool. There's the Aurora, which crash landed, and you can see it's not in a good state. This little fire extinguisher is not going to cut it, is it? So you can see we get a bit of story. Suffered orbital hull failure, cause unknown, 0 human life signs. Oh dear. So you can see also no land in sight. Big trouble. But half the fun and why Subnautica is really special is it's mostly set underwater. And as we go underwater, as we move towards things, you can discover them and also pick things up. So if you were sharp, you might have seen, well, actually, I don't think I showed that, but acid mushrooms can be used for a battery. So if we look at our things here, there you go, battery, we need acid mushrooms and copper ore. And the game is about discovering these various different components and then using them to your advantage. So we'll pick some of these up like this. So some things you need to cut to get hold of, which you're going to need more gear. So here's some metal salvage, which is used to make titanium, which is one of the most critical things in the game. As you're diving around, you also want to be keeping an eye on your oxygen. To begin with, you haven't got much of it. So that's that thing that's charging. We've got just 45. But if we can find some metal salvage, we can improve our chances quite a bit relatively quickly. So we have a little look round, and then you're looking for things like this, limestone. And to begin with, you'll get hints about what things are. So we can see that was a bit of titanium there. Again, you want to be keeping an eye on your air. So I'm using LB on my controller. That's the left stick bumper, or like that'd be L1, I suppose, on the PlayStation if it's on there. But have a little look at pause for your controls if you need to. But you're just going to be swimming around looking for bits and bobs to help you out. And we want more of those little limestone rocks that we saw. And also fish like this one here, this bladder fish, is useful. So we'll go here and then use right on the D-pad to move that in the inventory. And then you'll also find other things in various areas, but you just want to be swimming carefully and keeping an eye on that oxygen. There's another limestone, and that's copper, which was very useful. So we're just going to go back.
Survival has just decreased to unlikely.
And we're going to have a little look at these other fish as well. So there's all sorts of fish, but these smaller, slower ones, like this boomerang, if you aim at it, you can pick it up. So I've now got a bladder fish and a boomerang, and I'm going to explain why that's useful in just a second. So we have a bit of copper, which can make a battery. We've got some titanium, we've got some fish, and let me show you now what you do with that. So remember we were looking at the beacons, so that little blue highlight there will always show me where this first part is. And you can also swim underneath if you wish and go through into the escape pod this way. So now, if we go to the fabricator and have a little look at the resources, we can make titanium from the metal salvage. So that's why this is now coloured. So we'll do that. And each one of those that we find makes 4 titanium, which we can use for other things. So we'll do that. And then with the acid mushrooms that we got, if we look here, we can now make a battery. So that was 2 acid mushrooms and the copper ore that we found. So we can make a battery. And then from that, we can go down to the personnel stuff and have a little look at tools. And now we can make the scanner because we've got the battery and the titanium. The other tools here, you can see we need to find different things like silicon rubber and cave sulfur and all these sort of things. And that's going a little bit beyond this beginner guide, but hopefully we'll get you up and running, and then I'll put dedicated guides onto more specific stuff. Now, the other thing that we need to look at is food and water. And the 2 fish that we caught, we can also use here. So the first one, the bladder fish, which is that pink one to the right of the fire extinguisher down on the bottom hot slots. If we have a little look at that, we can craft a thing of filtered water. So just keep catching those bladder fish to solve your water problem. And food, those cooked boomerangs that the boomerangs we can cook and then eat that as well. So that's that sorted. We've also got other things we can make, like a locker here, a sea glide, if we can find these ingredients, which is going to be a lot easier now we've crafted a scanner. We can also use the titanium to make a standard O2 tank, which if you have a little look down the bottom there, my O2 will now go up to 75, which makes it a little easier for me to have a little look around. Now, we can also go back to that PDA, hit the screens button, and then go over to inventory. And these are all the things that I've found so far. And that boomerang I can consume here. So if I hit A, I look at my health down the bottom left, the yellow bar, that's gone up to 62. And my thirst at 80 at the minute, if I hit this one, that now goes up to 100. So I'm no longer thirsty. So that's how we solve food and water. So we're all good. We can see the tank was automatically equipped. So we've got that extra oxygen that makes life a little bit easier. But more importantly, actually, while I think about it, is we should have... did I make it? Oh, we've not made it yet. We need to make a scanner. So if we go to those tools, go here, make the scanner. This is the critical thing with the game. This helps you find those missing blueprints. So the scanner automatically gets moved into your hotslots down the bottom. I'm using right on the D-pad to move to that. And then when I go out into the environment now, I can scan things and get more information about it. So whilst we discovered this, we can scan the Astid mushroom to find a bit more info about it. Hit the PDA screens button and it will tell us a bit about it. So we can see it's inedible, but we can use it for battery fabrication. And then as we go around, we're looking for things to help us understand the game a bit more. So for example, if you see a box like this, you'll find a fragment of the Sea Glide or something in the box. And if you scan that, just beneath my head, it'll tell you one of two. So I need to find another one of those before I would get the blueprint of the scanner. You can also scan any animals or fish that you find. So the bladder fish there, we can see a bit more info. So we can see it's edible. Oxygen may be retrieved from the bladder and added to tanks on consumption. The membrane also has applications as a natural water filter. So that gives us a hint that that's good for water, or we can consume it. So see, my health is at 33 at the minute. If I eat it raw, I think I can do that. I think we'll get a boost to oxygen if you're in real trouble. 48 oxygen. So that's another option there. And you just keep going around, scanning things and finding a bit more about them, like these giant coral tubes. We find a bit more information here, rich in calcium and all that sort of stuff. And we just keep going around looking for things. Now, the depth that you see in Subnautica, generally the deeper you go, the more interesting stuff you'll find. But you just want to be careful with your air supply, that before you go too deep, that you don't run out of air, because that would be bad. And you want to be thinking about making more advanced components. Another thing you can see here is we've gone from day to night, and it's a lot harder to see where you're going in the night unless you construct a flashlight. So you want to be having a little look at those blueprints that we saw here, and have a little look what we need for a flashlight. So we go all the way through until we see that. I'm just trying to follow. Oh no, it's there. A battery and glass. So for glass, you want to be looking for quartz, which is this thing here. You can see we're swimming rather slow. So pick up that. You can obviously scan that as well, and it will give you a hint that quartz makes glass. But you get the idea. So you can see that we are making that, and we should have enough. Oh no, we're going to need more copper for another battery, so we'd need to find more of that. But then we would be able to make the flashlight. So if I make another battery, so we'll go here, make a battery. So I found a bit more copper, and then if we have a little look at our tools again, we can have a little look what we need for the flashlight. We need that glass as well. So we had the quartz, so we make the basic material from quartz. There's glass, so I have 2 quartz, and then that will make our flashlight. And you get the idea, you know, you're just going to keep rinsing and repeating this as you discover more stuff. But now we've got that. You can see that the flashlight is going to help us see in the dark, so it means that we can explore a little bit better at night. And you can turn that on and off with the right trigger, but it makes exploring at night much easier. So that's it really for the beginner's guide. Lots to explore. You want to be keeping going on with this. And if you want more help with the game, have a little look at the other videos that I'm going to be putting on this dedicated channel. This is a new project I'm doing in 2025. The reason for it is Subnautica 2 is coming. I very much enjoyed Subnautica on my main channel, but I wanted to do a dedicated channel to all things Subnautica. If you like it, do hit that like, comment and subscribe would be awesome. Thanks so much.